everybody, it's me, Woifi.
And me, Dani.
Welcome to a new episode of Hello, I'm Listening. We have to dress something.
We have to dress something address something?
Address something.
Okay.
We have to address something.
What do we have to address?
People are not listening right now.
Well, they're busy.
You know, it's like you look at the analytics, and like we had a massive spike in summertime and September.
Yeah.
And now since October, like the numbers are going down right now. There's this massive dip and the listening numbers, and it's kind of sad, and I don't know why. God damn it.
I mean, people are busy. It's the end of summer, so like during summer, maybe they were listening more because they had more free time.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Maybe it has to do with the start of Mrs. Butterscotch.
What do you mean? People love Mrs. Butterscotch.
She's been around for about as much time as we've seen a dip in the podcast.
Nah. She's been around since summer, and the podcast was soaring. But maybe we have to take a break with Mrs. Butterscotch for a while. I see you, Mrs. Butterscotch. Close the lid of your sleeping arrangement. Good. Okay, so I prepared something for the podcast start.
You prepared.
I'm Mabel and you're Edna.
Okay.
Well, bless your heart, Edna. It's been ages since we sat on this porch swing and had a good old gossip.
You're right, Mabel. Back in the day, we used to stir up more trouble than a tornado in a chicken coop.
Oh, speaking of chickens, remember that summer born dance? My, oh my, the rooster sure was crowning that night.
Crowing. Not crowning.
Edna laughs, that's right.
Lord, Mabel, you always did have a way with words. But you know, things were different back then. Courting was like high-stakes poker game.
Ain't that truth? You had to play your cards right or risk being that with a pair of these deuces.
And let's not forget those moonlit hayrides. The air was thick with romance and a touch of danger.
Yeah, just like trying to catch lightning bugs in a mason jar. Elusive and unpredictable.
You know, Mabel, folks today don't appreciate the art of subtlety. Everything's out in the open like a pig at a beauty pageant.
You're right, Edna. In our day, you had to be more discreet. It was like baking a cake without a recipe. You had to know just the right ingredients to make it rise.
And speaking of rising, those county fairs were a real hoot. The Ferris wheel was like a metaphor for life. You had to hold on tight and enjoy the ride.
Well, Edna, some folks were more daring than others, like trying to ride a bull at the rodeo. You never know if you had to end up with a trophy or a bruised ego.
Ain't that the truth? Times may have changed, but the memories of those good old days are like a jar of pickles. A little tangy, a little sweet, and always worth savoring.
Amen to that, Edna. Now pass me the sweet tea and let's keep sipping and reminiscing like a couple of fine-aged bourbons.
Why? Also,
Yes. What? I thought it's fun.
The rooster was crowing, not crowning. Don't think that roosters ever crown because
You don't know. You don't know what they're doing.
They don't lay eggs.
Yeah, but they poop.
The poop is crowning?
I mean, technically, if you poop, something's crowning in your pants.
Oh, boy. And what was the purpose of this
The
cruel skit?
No, the idea was, and it didn't really work out, but the idea was to make it seem like they're talking about blowjobs and how they were more exciting back in the day than they're now. these days, but it didn't work out well.
Also, I like that she said you had to hold on at the county fair at the Ferris wheel. Hold on!
Yeah.
I'm actually quite impressed with my spontaneous southern accent. It was not bad.
Yeah. So, today we're talking about America's favorite fall show.
La 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 la.
Okay, so if you are...
We did not rehearse that.
No,
we just know it so well.
If you're not... The thing is, I purposefully put not the name of the show into the title of the episode because I wanted to a lot of people listening. Because, first of all, if you're not a fan, if you don't like, or if you've never seen Gilmore Girls, don't turn off. Just keep listening a little bit and just, because I think we can persuade you or at least make it more interesting to you than you might think.
But at the same time, if you are listening and then you start feeling like, and you've never seen it, you start feeling like, oh, I kind of want to, that actually sounds like something I would like and I might watch that, then maybe stop listening and come back to this after you've watched it all, because I'm not going to say we're not going to spoil things, because we will spoil things.
I'm sure we will spoil things. But I think it all together doesn't really matter because we won't spoil big things. But yeah. We are not going to spoil massive plot points in the movie. I'm not in the show. I'm not going to dissect that. I don't want to do that. But I want to just talk in general about the show because for a lot of people, it's a very what is it called? Like a go-to show in fall because it what is the feel-good thing? It's a feel-good show for a lot of people, and it's maybe an annual tradition, and I don't know. It just
why in fall?
I don't know.
Is that a thing? I mean, people start watching Gilmore Girls in the fall?
Yeah, it's a thing. Okay. It's Gilmore Girls season because every season starts in fall, kind of, or at the end of summer.
She's going to school, yeah.
And you just want to cozy up with a tea and sync up your vaginal bleeding. If you were
a real Gilmore Girls fan, you would have just said cozy up with a coffee.
I know. But yeah. But I wanted to talk about the show because I think it's a very good show. And I think it's a show that should be talked about.
Okay.
Yeah. So, when was the first time you watched Gilmore Girls?
Oh man, I watched it when it came out, but I never watched it. Like I never finished it when it came out. So like my mom and I used to watch it together, which was always lovely. So like every week when there was an episode, my mom and I would watch. But eventually there's how many 7 seasons?
7 seasons, and then the Netflix thing.
Netflix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't remember ever finishing it with my mom. But then I picked it up again when it was all on Netflix when the new seasons were announced, when they said that they were doing the reboot in 2017. Mm-hmm. 16. Mm-hmm. And when they announced it, I was like, okay, then I'm just going to watch it all the way through so that I can watch the new seasons when they come out and be all caught up. And yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I watched it too, and here it was like it didn't premiere here like it did in the US weekly. So, but when the season was out in the US, we got to watch it like every day at night or like at 4 or 5 p.m.
Okay.
There was an episode, and so through all the years until all the seasons were out, so I got to see most of it or most of the seasons through television in German. But I never watched all of them. I saw just like I would say like 80% of them. And then I think I got either the DVDs. I'm pretty sure I got the DVDs and with those I binged them kinda. And I think I've watched the whole show 4 times now.
Is it on the DVDs the same way that it is with Friends, for example, where on TV they cut out a whole bunch of stuff, and so what, like on the Friends DVDs there's so many scenes that were cut that didn't air on TV?
No.
Is it pretty one-to-one?
The only thing I want to say is that some songs might not be on the streaming. Like they changed some songs, I think, similar to Scrubs.
Yeah, but all the songs are written for the show.
No, not the songs that are written for the show, but other songs.
Okay.
Like
Are there other songs?
Yeah, there are some, like in the first few seasons, there are songs that are sometimes just played.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think some of them might have changed, but everything else is the same. Yeah. But the thing is, I like Gilmore Girls.
I mean, it's a great show.
It's a great fucking show. It's
the characters are super well written.
Right.
I mean, I think the reason we decided to do this episode is because we got into not a real fight, but we got into a
argument,
disagreement about Deanie Boy.
Yeah, let's not go into that yet. What is your favorite character? Because you said the characters are well written.
It changes every time I watch it. It changes.
It doesn't matter. Just name one.
I'll give you my two favorites that are always my go-tos. It's Lorelai and Emily.
Yeah, that's a good. The chemistry alone between those two characters and how they change and grow and.
I mean, I think Emily has the best character development of all the characters in the show.
Yeah, probably.
I think throughout the seasons.
Probably.
And I think she's so funny, and she plays the role so well that you actually that you believe that's actually how she is. You know,
you buy her.
I mean, that's all the characters. You buy all of the characters.
No, but she leans into the role. It's crazy. Yeah.
And the same with Lorelai. I mean, her delivery. I mean, obviously the people who write that are brilliant because she's so witty and she's so quick and she's so like just delightfully sarcastic in a way that doesn't make you dislike her. It makes you like her more. And I don't know, she obviously brings the character to life, but it's written so well, and I think she's just hysterical. So she's like if I become a mom, when I'm a mom, I like aspire to be a lot like Lorelai, just kind of like the cool mom who's, I don't know. She's just a cool mom.
She's a cool mom. If I would need to pick a favorite character, I would either say Lorelai or Luke.
I thought you would say Luke.
Luke, very much
I like
too.
Luke too.
I think he doesn't have like as much of a character development, but he doesn't really need it because he knows who he wants to be, and he is from the start to finish a very earnest.
He's very consistent,
and also lovable character. He's never mean in a way, but he always wants the good, and he also fights for what he thinks is right and for other people's rights.
And he doesn't take crap from people, and I really like that about
he doesn't.
him
No,
too.
never. Especially with Taylor, the mayor of the fictional town. But it's, I don't know, the whole dynamic. He's like this anchor in the town, He's like they meet as a diner. They most of the time, especially when Rory goes to Yale, the Luke Steiner is like their meet point, and something's happening there all the time. And I don't know. He's a very consistent, fun character, and then later in the later seasons, obviously a more permanent or a more important character to Lorelai's life. But you can see, the thing is that you can see it from the beginning that there's a thing, and they obviously address it multiple times. But I also very much like that they don't jump into that right away.
They have such good chemistry, the two of them.
Yeah,
and they're not just like romantically, but their friendship. They have like the best chemistry.
Yeah, and they don't go into like their like romantic relationship right away. They wait a very appropriate and long amount that you want them to be together. You want them to finally just say fuck it and bone and watch them bone.
Boy.
Yes, Luke, fuck her ass.
Oh my lord. This is a wholesome family show.
It's not a family show.
Sure it is.
Oh, you mean Gilmore Girls?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant our podcast.
No, our podcast is not very family friendly.
No, but that's also something I like, that the show doesn't like rush into things only because people want it. It gives you something to when do they finally get together? And I remember when I watched the show on TV, obviously as a young boy, or like teenager, you don't want to admit that you love a show like that. Because
why not?
Yeah, because it's
There's
not
nothing wrong with
cool.
Gilmore Girls.
The thing is, I remember I never really denounced it or never said anything bad about it, but I also didn't run around praising or saying that I loved the show. Because, you know, as a young boy, you don't say, oh, it's a girl show, you like a girl show. Yeah. But yeah, I remember.
I think today that would be easier. Like if this show came out today, I think it would be much different.
But I remember celebrating it when they finally got together, and then remember hating it when it broke up again. Sorry for spoiling, but yeah.
I mean, we said we would spoil things.
Yeah. But let's talk about Rory's free boyfriends, and there is this age-old question: are you team
Team Jess, or
team
Team
Jess
Logan?
or Team Logan?
I have different answers.
The thing is, I can tell you right away, I'm team Dean. Yeah.
I know you are.
The OG.
The thing is, this is like kind of what spawned the idea for this episode, is this argument. But I'm very much Team Jess for the like overall Team Jess. However, I think that Dean was exactly the type of person she needed in the beginning. And I think that as she got older and like went to Yale and all of that, it's good that they weren't together anymore.
Yeah.
Because I think that kind of like, he was the perfect first boyfriend, you know, and I like Dean. I really like Dean, except for his stupid hair. But I think that he was not the right fit for her as she grew.
I mean, yeah, he had to go through some shit as well. But yeah.
And Jess, I just love Jess. He's
such an ass.
I love Jess. I mean, sure, he was an ass. Yeah, he was a total ass in the beginning. But he also has great character development.
No, he does. And the thing is,
he's not just the bad boy.
No,
I mean, he's the
not.
bad boy, but he's smart. He's intelligent. He's got so much going for him. And he's more just like, yeah, but he's the bad boy, but he's such an intelligent person. And I think he's just trouble. You know, he's troubled.
The one thing, the one thing, I mean, he can be a bad boy, but can be smart.
Yeah.
The thing is, he is a troubled kid and he needs the right direction. And
yeah.
The thing is, he finds it eventually, but and you can see it throughout the whole series if you watch it. There is, sure, she's attracted to him, and sure, they have something, but it's never comparable to Dean.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's consistent through the whole show, and they're great friends together, and that's what they are, and that's when they meet in the later seasons, and reconnect. That's what they find out. They're not great together as a couple, but they're great together as friends, and that's when I love him, because that's when he shines, and that's when he's not the stupid guy anymore, and he also makes some great decisions, and he helps her a lot in the later seasons. But what I really like,
I think he helps her a lot in the early seasons too. Maybe not in like a super constructive way, but he helps Rory to grow a lot because she experiences things that she probably wouldn't have otherwise experienced. Like, you know, the trouble that she gets into with him, and that, you know, those are still experiences that she learns from and that kind of shape her a little bit.
Sure, and it's also very realistic in the depiction of
realistic.
She is, you know, she looks for something else, and Dean is the perfect boyfriend who never gets into trouble and basically carries her on a silver platter.
Yeah,
and
but also doesn't fully understand her.
Obviously, they're completely different.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's good that she kind of or realistic, like you say, that she finds Jess so attractive, because he's the opposite of Dean.
He's the opposite, but at the same time, they have a lot of common in terms of you know, the book they read and how intelligent they can talk on a different level.
Yeah,
but and obviously that was never a problem for her, because her upbringing wasn't like hoity-toity or something.
Yeah.
She grew up in like a barn or something, and very simple, and the way they live and everything. It's not like they're rich technically, but at the same time they're not. They're just normal people, and that's what connects her to Dean, obviously. But because I don't want to spoil the ending of the whole series for now, because maybe there's something else coming. But the question at the end for me was always clear.
Really?
Always. The question for me is always clear that it was not Logan. It was not Jess, but it was Dean at the end.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I know that you don't think so, but for me, like rewatching it right now and seeing all
I don't think it was Jess, but
the development and all that stuff, it kind of makes sense. And
did the writers ever say that they know?
Nah, I think the showrunner
didn't they purposefully do it where even they don't know?
Nah, they I think they gave an interview. I don't even know. Okay. I would need to paraphrase right now, but it was always intended to end like that.
Okay.
Even though I kind of don't believe that right now.
Yeah.
I kind of don't believe it.
I kind of do. I believe it. Just because we can't talk too much about this because no one knows. I mean, not no one, but most people don't know what we're talking to or referring to. No. But let's talk about Logan. Logan Huntsberger.
I don't know. That's not
Logan. Logan is one of those characters who I love the character. Like he's not a character where I'm like, oh fuck, Logan's back. Like I really like his character. He plays the character really well. He's written really well.
He is.
And he's charming. You know, they wrote him to be pretentious and charming, and he does it perfectly. But
and also the thing is he the way he comes in and the way they needed someone like that because Dean was like the simple guy from the hometown. Then Jess came in. He was the smart, troubled kid from like
outsider.
Out of town. And then Logan is like the rich, snotty guy. He's charming, obviously, because otherwise
he's the guy that the grandparents would like.
You know, exactly. Yeah. And obviously Lorelai doesn't like him at the beginning because she's very skeptical. And then she likes him, and then they do some shit, and then she doesn't like him again. And the thing is, I don't like Logan because the thing is I like him. He's a well-written character, and he is also, I think, a great character development through the whole season until like the Netflix thing. But he's so well written and he plays it so well that I don't like him because he's such a pretentious. Even though he's nice and stuff, but he's such a pretentious asshole. Yeah, and
the thing is, he treats Rory well.
No,
which is
that's true, but he never really understands her. Yeah, like never. And also Jess never does until the end where they're friends.
Yeah, and Logan also, I think, doesn't understand so much the relationship that Rory and Lorelai have.
No, never.
And he tries to.
Yeah,
I feel like he tries to understand, but he's never a part of it. Like Dean was a part of it. Yeah. Like Dean just like knew them backwards and forwards. Yeah. Like he knew everything about them and took part in their life.
Rory from the beginning, even when she later had trouble with her finding her way and her path and all that shit. He always understood her, and he always knew what he needed to say to push her forward. And Jess did too at the end when they were friends, but until then he also didn't understand. And that for me is like one of the main reasons why I like Dean so much.
But I like Logan much more in the Netflix reboot.
Yeah,
than I did in the. I mean, I liked him, and like I said, I liked him in the original series, but I really liked his character in the Netflix, like the next, like the last season.
No,
I really liked him.
He's way more mature, and
he's still pretentious as hell, but he's more mature.
It makes sense because he is way older. I mean, there are years in between, and that was nice to see that there was actually that they actually thought out his character and thought, okay, how might have he evolved in the whole situation. And the thing is, you can like
10 years or something.
Yeah, something like that. And you could also see it after at the last season, you could also see that his dad, even though he was an asshole, but he had good intentions, saw that Logan was going down a bad path, or he didn't find his path, and so he even though I don't agree with things like that, but he thought he needed to push him into the right direction with what he did, and Logan eventually ended up on the right path again. But I want to quickly talk about why this show I think is so not unique. There are similar shows out there that are equally as good. But I just want to quickly talk about why this show I think is so good. And we already said about one of the main reasons I think is the characters and the actors. Yeah. The whole ensemble, the whole town. The whole how they're written and how they're evolved during the show. It's it's not only there to write out the whole season, to write out the episodes, to make another season, but there's so much purpose. Sure, there's some episodes that just a little fillers, I would say. They're not like they don't drive the main plots, but they're still enjoyable, and they fit into the whole universe of the show. And also the town. Obviously, the town is a major character. The little town Stars Hollow is like basically a main character, and it also evolves through the show, and that's also nice to see. And it's the characters evolve, and they're changing. New characters come in, new characters go out. I don't know. It's a very wholesome show, and in total, I think definitely worth watching at least once. Yeah.
Well, the other thing I think what makes the show so successful and so easy to watch is that in terms of it being realistic, I mean, the setting is not realistic, and the fact, like that they can just do whatever they want whenever they want, like in terms of like their business and like what we were talking about with Lorelai and Suki, how they have no money, but they can do all of these things. And you're like, how?
I mean, sure.
So those little aspects are not realistic, but the relationships are super realistically written, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And not just the romantic ones, but the friendships and their own personalities, and they fit with the character so well. Like Rory is super realistically written in terms of like all of the stages she goes through when she goes through them. And Lorelai is super realistic for being basically at the start of the show. She's like 30, and she has a 16-year-old daughter. And for where she is in her life, and what she went through, like her upbringing, and then having a kid so young, it fits so perfectly. Like everything fits so perfectly. For I think all of the characters, they're all written so well and so realistically that you just relate to them. There's always somebody to relate to in that show.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what I also like, I mean, the stakes are not like super high in the show, obviously, but that's also kind of a point. But at the same time, with the relationships, you always feel something for them. if there's like a little, if there's beef going on, if there are some problems, if if there things are happening that might cause problems in the future, there's always something that you can either relate to or are looking forward to being resolved, because most of the characters you don't like to see suffer. And they take also their time with resolving things. It's not like they fight in one episode and the second one they make up.
Or even in the second one that it's just suddenly like there's always a resolve.
Right, there's always a resolve. I mean, sure, with Lorelai and Rory, most of the time there are some exceptions to that. Most of the time they make up pretty fast because they just know each other so well, and they love each other so much. But with other characters, the resolve is sometimes not happening for a couple of episodes. That's also kind of interesting to see the dynamic of, oh wait, what if they don't have each other? What happens if that part of her life or that part of the show breaks away? And I don't know. And also what it does to those characters. I'm like talking about Luke and Lorelai, for example, when they don't talk, and it happens multiple times, the dynamic shifts a little bit.
I mean, and you feel the tension in everything, not just like if they run past each other and they're not, it's not just within their interactions. You feel the tension in the town. You feel the tension because that's just the town that they live in. Everybody talks, and it's a small community, and they're so well known as like, oh, it's Luke and Lorelai. You just when things are not okay with them, like nothing's okay.
It's I don't know. I highly encourage you, if you have never seen it, watch it, give it a chance. I think it's a great show. It's not only a show for women. I think
definitely not. It's just funny. It's just funny.
I think some men might think that because of the name and because of the implications of a lot of women liking the show. But I think it's a great show. It's not only for women or in general. I think it's a show for everybody, because I think it's such a relatable and realistic show, and also a show that doesn't not only make you feel good, but also I think you can take away some things from it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I also, to add to that, it's also a lovely thing to watch as like a mother-daughter thing, like a thing to do together, because that was always something, like every time I watch that show, I am reminded of my mom, and because we used to watch it together, and I think my mom and I have a very similar dynamic as Lorelai and Rory. Like we're just that we have that open relationship, and obviously not the exact same dynamic.
I see your mom shaking her head right now. It's like,
no, she would totally agree.
No, what the fuck is she talking about?
She would totally agree.
Barely know that kid.
Where we talk about everything. There's nothing that's off limits, and it was pretty much always like that.
You talk about anal play?
I mean, if we want to, sure, why not?
Okay.
I don't think it's really a topic that either of us relate to that much, but if we did, we would talk about it.
Okay. And pooping?
Sure. They don't really talk about pooping.
And anal bleeding?
Are these things that are coming up in Gilmore Girls that I'm missing?
No, you said you're talking about everything, so I'm just...
I mean, if there were things like that to talk about, we would talk about that.
Good.
We are not uncomfortable talking about anything. That's what I'm saying.
Good.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's just a nice little like, oh, this reminds me of me and my mom, and
No, it is nice.
it's a nice thing to share.
That was a paid advertisement from the makers of... No, I'm kidding. If you have something to add, or if you want to tell us how you like Gilmore Girls, you can do it in Spotify.
Or if you are Team Dean, maybe that's the question.
Team Dean,
Team Jess, or Team Logan.
Yeah, we'll ask that. Please just let us know. And please subscribe to the podcast. Please share the podcast. If you have someone who likes Gilmore Girls as much as we do, just send it to them and say, hey, listen to the podcast. We should watch Gilmore Girls again. And obviously, if you want to help us out, head over to our Patreon, which Joe is currently our still only member, which is
Hey Joe.
Hey Joe, thanks for your support. And until then, we'll see each other.
Watch out for deer.